Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery is back every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join Nigeria Anderson.
Greetings. Welcome to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery one more time. And again, I am your host, your good girlfriend, your friend, Nigeria Anderson. And today we're going to talk about some traumatic experiences and abuse. And the reason why I said the title is Lies, Exposed, and Truth is because I have some video clips that I'm going to share with you. And in these clips, you're going to see tears, passion, outrage. These are the results of trauma and abuse. Many people are losing their jobs, their homes, and life savings trying to just maintain. What do you think is going to happen with the cuts in healthcare? What do you think is going to happen? I'm asking you I'm asking those of you who are watching this video. I mean, like I said, and I always say here, it may not have hit your doorstep yet. So you might not care today about what's really going on. But when you don't care about another person who is being abused by the system, it's just a matter of time before it hits your doorstep. This is an American USA 911 call to those who are watching. We have watched the food prices go up. They're continuing to go up. Rent is ridiculous. Someone just told me having a cell phone is like having a roommate who doesn't pay their share. I didn't even know cell phones was like costing that much. There's a divide on who will get services and who will not. And we could try to act like, everything is for everybody. But in this video, I promise you, you're going to identify some lies. You're going to identify some lies. And this is like just for you to just pay attention to what's really going on. Because many people are trying to deceive you. And hey, if you're part of Safe Space Talks My Mastery and you've been with us since day one, you already know how I get down. We don't lie. We tell you the truth. I talk about traumatic experiences, personal experience. I have special guests on here sharing their experiences. But the one thing we're going to always give you is the truth. We're not going to lie here. Okay, this is not monetized, so I can tell you the truth. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about your mental health and wellness. And with all that's going on, we have to turn off some of these devices because they're not doing us any good. They're causing more harm as you continue to hear the storms, the fires, the murders, the violence, and Trump going into neighborhoods, storming and talking about he's trying to stop the violence, and innocent people are getting caught in all of this and their lives are being destroyed. I have personal accounts of this, and so I'm here to bring it to you. Not just Black people, but many are feeling what we've been going through for years. See, again, when you don't help a group when they're in need, it just spreads like a virus because, we're not in control of all these things that we think we might be in control of. So let me give you a little bit about how trauma and abuse changes how you live. When you're exposed to a violent traumatic experience, your brain response goes into overdrive. This may cause one to faint or go into that flight, fight, or freeze. We talk about that all the time. That is trauma's cousin, due to your brain's alarm system, which is the amygdala, which plays a crucial role in the processing emotions, particularly fear and anxiety. When you have endured a prolonged traumatic experience, the amygdala becomes hyperactive, constantly sensing threats, even when they're not there, leaving a person on high alert, anxiety, and fear. This is something I have personally went through and know it very well. Like I always say, I like to remind you here at Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery, healing from an abusive situation or traumatic situation is not a 1, 2, 3, I am free. So when you see people coming forward after decades of trauma and abuse, like you will see in this video I'm going to share with you from the survivors of Epstein, trust me, that is a major step. So many say, well, that was so long ago and they should be over it. Please never say that. Okay, never, ever say that. Until you have had a traumatic experience or have been traumatized, never say that. Please just never say that. Okay? I encourage that. I encourage people to stop saying it because they want to be a little neat. They have OCD. You don't have that. You don't ever want to have that. I want people to stop saying, oh, I'm depressed freely when you don't understand what depression is like. Don't say that. You don't even want to wish that on yourself. It is a lie. You're lying to yourself. Don't do that. All right, my little rant. All right, so I sit here and I show you these videos and I have guests so that we can help people. Period. I'm here to help those who have been through a traumatic experience because I understand. My guests, they understand and we understand. And those who have been through traumatic experiences and abuse, they understand what we're here talking about. And our goal is to encourage people watching that it's okay to seek help. Also know you can email me at safespacetalks@gmail.com and request help because we understand. All right, I want you to watch this video clip.
In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
All right. Now, one of the things that just, oh my goodness, the woman speaking and shaking and crying. You see how long ago that happened, but how she still has the signs of the effects of what happened. That's trauma. So I just wanted to give you a visual of what that looks like. And that's what it looks like. Can you imagine living like that 24 hours, 7 days a week in fear and anxiety? You don't know. You don't know. But it's not a good place to be. All right, so let's talk about exposure. Being exposed. I'm so glad that the Epstein survivors are uncovering the details about what happened. They're revealing the truth about what happened, and we all need to listen. Now, let me get back to the brain and how trauma affects our brain. We all know our brain is our command center, responsible for how we respond and react to things. Our prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate decision making and controls our emotions, become less active due to the overactive amygdala, what we talked about earlier. Which means when you are in a heightened state, your brain struggles to calm you down. This may cause high blood pressure, migraines, and insomnia. So, that's when you're sometimes dealing with these things, try to identify that maybe it's not your food that you're eating that's causing high blood pressure, migraines, or insomnia. Maybe it's something resurfacing from a traumatic experience, or it may be related to an abusive situation that you have dealt with and or may be dealing with now. So when your brain is on overdrive, you have trouble concentrating. You can't remember some things, easily startled or jumpy and forgetful. These can be signs related to the abuse and the trauma that you have been dealing with. So can you imagine these ladies not being able to go to sleep or forgetting things and just being unbalanced? Now the key phrase the Lord has asked all of us to do is love one another. Can you imagine if we did that? How maybe these horrible things that's going on right now would be limited, because bad things happen. I'm not saying they don't, but maybe not to the detriment of our whole life being altered mentally, physically, emotionally. My, how far we have drifted. I mean, I grew up in a community where we all looked out for each other, and I'm still in a community where we all still look out for each other. So for me, family, church, and community is just how I live. It's everything. So I struggle, with the things I see, because I'm just like, who raised you? You know, so I know the importance of helping and serving, but the real connection is being able to speak to someone who understands. And this is why we're here. This is why I do this. If you need help, you need resources, you need counsel, you need a therapist, you need to talk to someone with wisdom and sound counsel, please email us at safespacetalks@gmail.com. There are so many things that have hurt us as Americans. The recent storms, fire, and violence, as I mentioned in the intro, has caused so much emotional stress on adults, especially if you have children or young adults. You just worried all day. And practically you could probably be worrying yourself to death because you're scared of the phone ringing while your kid's at school due to all the school shootings. I mean, let's sit back and just think about how stressed this is, the stress levels of every individual, of every nationality, of every culture. America is in trouble. And it's going to be up to us helping each other, looking out for each other. That's where we're going. We're going to have to go back to community, because abuse and trauma, it is never justifiable. There's no reason you can't. I mean, now self-defense is a whole different thing. I got to defend myself. But to purposely abuse someone because you have power, status, or some form of significance, so you think, is unjustifiable. You cannot justify abusing another human being, enslaving another human being, sex trafficking another human being, right? It's a horrible situation. And, it is unfair. It's just not right. And we got to get better. We got to get better. And, we are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube. And we want you to continue to share, like, and subscribe and tell people to join us here on our channel over here. All right, so here's something I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about some truth. We talked about the lies, we talked about being exposed, and now I want to talk about some truth about other things that are going on that people just aren't talking about. Let's talk about some truth, Matt, some truth about things that are really going on that we may have thought was taken care of. Okay, and it wasn't, and it has saddened me. We talked about the storms and the fires and everything, and the people who are currently being affected by storms and being challenged due to the FEMA cuts. So let's talk about the truth about that and the lack of insurance coverage limiting rebuilding the communities that's being burnt down. That's tornadoes and cyclones have gone through and ripped apart various communities, and nothing is being done. And so I want to thank the Hip Hop Caucus, who marked the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana. Louisiana is still recovering and rebuilding. Today, in 2025, there is still the residue of Hurricane Katrina, which was an extremely powerful and devastating storm. And when you watch this clip, make sure you listen to what Al Gore had to say. And the brother who was one of the organizers, man, mm, 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 mm. Let's watch.
How y'all doing? My name is Demetrius Warren. Some people know me as Sino, Young Sino. How y'all feeling out there? Let's make some noise! Today is a celebration. Today is the ultimate commemoration right here, right now. Y'all make some noise right now. Let's go! Real quick. I'm a young man of a lot of passion. Please don't misconstrue my passion for emotion. I'm going to say some things today that you might not never hear from a man. I'm also going to ask commitments. If y'all listening out there in the back, I'm going to talk to all men today. I'm talking especially to black men today. Because nobody cared about black men, and nobody's been caring about black men since the last 55 years. Today is the day that we're going to honor black men today, because when the storm came, there was nobody else to count on except the black man. Do y'all hear me? It was black men that got them boats and went saved them people. Not them police, not the army, not your government. It was black men. It was black men who did it. Today we going to celebrate our people's life, and we going to celebrate black men today. Because I've been living 41 years. And for 41 years, I've been hearing about the degradation and the decrepitude of black men, and black men ain't this, and the black men ain't that, and the black man ain't shit, and the black man ain't this. But when a disaster or a strike or anything come about, when it's about our people, guess who they go to? They go to the black man. Guess what the Arabic people tell their children? Guess what the Arabic people tell their children? If you ever in trouble, look for a black man or a black woman. Don't misconstrue my passion for emotion. Today, we are going to honor the lives of our people, and I'll be damned if we don't honor the lives of black men today. Because you know why? You see how I talk with this passion? You're looking at one that's willing to die about it. No, I don't have to get on no city council. I stand right here and die in front of every last one of y'all. And I do it for you. I die for you. That's what the passion, that's what the human element is. We are missing the human element of life. We are forgetting these evil people got a stranglehold so bad. Let me tell you how bad the stranglehold is. I'm one of the national organizers for this event. I try to drive down here and come in and tell our beautiful police officers I am one of the organizers for this event. Could you please let me through? I have a big-ass trailer with some porta potties on it. What am I going to be doing illegally with some porta potties on the trailer for you to just let me pass and put the porta potties down so the people could piss in peace? Can the people piss in peace? Not only that, when I dropped the trailer, when I made the block, drop the trailer, and go talk to our beautiful lieutenant over there. Hey, Lieutenant. Instead of Lieutenant telling the truth, he would rather lie and talk about other porta potty people coming out here to try to swindle people to make them pay for porta potties. Really? Really? Today, God is the greatest, man.
Thank you. Next, we will have award-winning artivist in New Orleans' very own Dawn Richard.
Thank you, Brittany. I'm gonna be fast, y'all. This is beautiful to see. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the caucus for being an educator and me learning about. As an artist, sometimes we do our art, we pour through our art, but we don't know about our own communities. And so you reach out to your people, and the Hip Hop Caucus has been a haven for me to learn about what's really going on in my community. But I want to talk about really fast. I'm so grateful to the mural that has been put on this levee. And shout out to B Mike and Studio B and Eternal Seeds. And when I love y'all. I love Eternal Seeds. And what it made me think about is seeds in general. We are a community deeply rooted. Our soil and our ancestral stories are rooted deep. I love that this looks beautiful today, but my hope for this, my call to you is that this isn't a moment where it's 20 years or 30 years where you all decide to come back and air this and it looks like this, because the year 1, 2, or 3, and 4, there's not a lot of people that come. And we are a local community fighting this fight with like 8, 9, 10, right? My hope to you is that thank you so much for coming, but I would encourage you to really lean into the name Eternal Seeds. Lean into the young people who are painting the stories that some of them haven't even experienced Katrina, but they have affected so much so that they painted their art and talked about what they felt from the stories that were told to them. I ask you to pour into your seeds. If you love this city, if you're coming here now and viewing this, we are the seeds that need work. A plant or a flower can't succeed or thrive coming once every 20 years, once every 5 years, every 10 years. We need daily pouring, daily sunlight, daily goodness, daily attention. So I encourage you to pour into this community, your local businesses, your local artists, your people here living on the Ninth Ward who decided to come home and pour into their own communities when there's a house every other, when the grass isn't cut, when the potholes are still potholing. I want y'all to pour into this community. So I ask that you treat your seeds with care. Treat this community with care and treat our stories with care. Pour into our people so that we can continue to grow as a community. That's what I care about. So thank you all so much. Go home, go back to your places and show and pour so that we can be a community that doesn't look like it has been hit yesterday, but it has grown since 20 years from now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawn. If there is a medic, we do have an emergency situation. Okay, so okay, great. Now we will have former U.S. Vice President and founder of the Climate Reality Project, Mr. Al Gore, followed by Councilmember Oliver Thomas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to have been invited to join all of you for this event. I don't live here. I'm among the millions of people in the country and around the world who love New Orleans. And I came here to the Lower Ninth in the immediate aftermath of Katrina. And I want to acknowledge those who have made this event possible. Reverend Lennox Yearwood and the Hip Hop Caucus. You'll hear from Reverend Yearwood in a minute. The New Orleans Katrina Commemoration Foundation. CES 4-5 and CINO. CINO, I heard you. We heard you. Thank you. The people of New Orleans, and particularly the people of the Lower Ninth Ward. Congressman Troy Carter and Councilman Oliver Thomas and Dr. Leona Tate and other distinguished guests and the many speakers and performers here. I've only got 3 minutes. There's a lot I would like to say, but I want to say, first of all, a word of condolences to all those who lost loved ones, those who lost property, those who suffered during and after Katrina. And I want to echo what a couple of other speakers have already said. Let's don't lose the connection between Hurricane Katrina and the climate crisis, which is still getting worse. And they're not doing anything meaningful about it. Thank goodness they've had some improvements in the infrastructure that failed that day 21 years ago, but they are now tearing apart FEMA after they improved it and fixed some of the terrible mistakes made 20 years ago. Now they're tearing it apart again. And the causes of the climate crisis are still continuing to get worse. It is a fossil fuel crisis, and I know it's tricky and delicate to talk about the fossil fuel industry here in Louisiana. I understand that. But more than 80% of the cause of this climate crisis is the burning of fossil fuels. And we have substitutes for them now that are better and cheaper and cleaner and create more jobs and bring life and not death. There were warnings from the scientists decades before Katrina hit this city that the climate crisis was going to make these hurricanes much more powerful and much worse. And you know what happened just 6 weeks later? Rita hit, and this is also the anniversary of Ida, just 4 years ago, which destroyed some areas just north of here. And not many months ago, my home state had Hurricane Helene, and North Carolina had much worse. The amount of rain that fell in a few days was equal to what Niagara Falls drops in 2.5 years. Last month, we had 12 once-in-a-thousand-year events in our country in a 3-day period. And the scientists who warned us decades ago have been proven to be dead right. That ought to make us pay a little bit more attention to what they're warning us right now, because we continue to put another 175 million tons up into the sky every day, thickening the blanket of heat that is trapping more extra heat every day than would be released by 750,000 Hiroshima bombs exploding on the earth every 24 hours. Now, that may sound like statistics, but when the rain comes, when the storm hits, when the drought dries up the water, when the ice melts and the sea level rises, when the climate refugees cross international borders, now in the millions, predicted to be more than 1 billion within the next 25 years, remember that these warnings came, and now is the time to act on these warnings. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said in his famous speech about the fierce urgency of now, and I quote from him, "We are now faced with the fact, my friends, that tomorrow is today. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. 20 years ago today, I was scheduled to make a speech here in this city to all 50 state insurance commissioners about the climate crisis. Of course, it had to be canceled. It's never been rescheduled. We've got to wake up. We've got everything we need. We've got the technology. We've got the proven deployment models. We've got the knowledge. Here's what they tell us we're missing: enough political will. But I'm telling you, political will is itself a renewable resource. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Okay. Makes you think. I want you to, did you listen? Did you see what was going on? The reason I shared these videos today is just to give you an example of different types of trauma and abuse. Not providing resources to those in need is abuse. Taking away funding is abuse. Destroying communities is a very traumatic form of abuse. And, these are things that actively going on, that they're trying to hide behind whatever. I don't know. But Hurricane Katrina caused death. It stripped people of feeling like they belonged when help was refused. Their value as a human being caused emotional damage due to being rejected. And their confidence has been stripped away, as they have to be reminded daily that the system that was supposed to help or should have helped restore failed. And day after day, they are reminded of what happened because there's still residue 25 years later. That, I lost my mom there. I lost my dog. I lost my son. I lost my child. They are constantly reminded of what happened. The psychological warfare that has on them. Like, who cares? Especially on those who survived and still live there. And so let me tell you the truth. FEMA only will help if the affected area has been declared a presidential disaster area. Let's be clear. So you got to call, you got to get a case number, your insurance got to give FEMA, the damage and, all this paperwork. And yes, you can do it on your phone, on your computer, but there's a waiting game. You got to wait for your case number to finally be approved. Again, the insurance company, everybody got to try to work together. Meanwhile, you're displaced. You're not working. I mean, it's just a horrible situation to be in. And that's why I'm here talking about it. And it's something I just want everyone to think about, because there's things that cause us to have mental instabilities when we were going on our day-to-day, minding our whole business. And then trauma just showed up unexpectedly. See, that's what happened to me. It just popped up. I didn't wake up that morning thinking I would be in a fire. I didn't think I would wake up months later from a coma. And you know what? It happened. But I had support. If it wasn't for my family, I can't imagine. I really, really cannot imagine. Had it not been for friends, close friends, when I was just so out of it and couldn't even comprehend and know what day it was. If I didn't have people, my community supporting me, I can't really tell you where I would be today. So this is why I sit here. This is why I'm here sharing this information with you. So not only are we just talking about, molestation, rape. Yes, that is horrible. And I wanted you to see it and see the effects of that. But yes, natural disasters that just sweep through, takes everything, and we're left with nothing, and we may have lost a loved one. And, who's there to help us? And if FEMA is only going to help when the affected area has been declared a presidential disaster, is our president, what does he consider a disaster, right? So that, like, we're gonna have to depend on him to say, oh yeah, okay, so that area is considered um, an affected area. That's a disaster area. Who will this affect? Will it affect just Black people? Will it affect all people? And these are examples of how many people get entangled in dealing with a mental health instability. Yes, sometimes it's by the hands of someone else, and sometimes it just happens and we don't know. And especially if it goes unchecked, we're having signs and symptoms. And this is why I do the show, so I can help you identify signs and symptoms: insomnia, migraines, high blood pressure, diabetes. All of this can be affected. You can be affected with because of stress and trauma. And even so, it's during these times you must speak to somebody. You must speak to someone to help you navigate your emotions. You cannot deal with these stress levels at that peak by yourself. You will or might have a hospitalization. When I see people in the street just, tripping, I'm sensitive to that. I'm careful because don't walk up on me, but I'm sensitive to that because I understand that something major happened to them. So next time you see someone in the street and they're acting out and they look disheveled and you can visibly see they have a mental instability, just say a small prayer. Pray for them as you walk by, that they will seek help, get help, receive help. But, there's so many cuts. And so I'm asking you to just, help out the way you can. Here, if, you're a mental health professional, we welcome you on this show to share, to help somebody. We're not going to wait for, we're not going to, the celebrities who are, and I'm not dismissing them. I'm just saying, you know, it's not big because their house got burnt in the fire. It's not big because they lost their house. It's big because it affected everybody. It's big because their neighbor too. It's big because it's a global, it's a national, COVID was global, and still, and I'll just hold that still. And those who know me are reading my mind right now, because I don't want to get on that. I'm just saying everybody. This is about everybody. It's not, there's no, trauma does not discriminate. Trauma doesn't say, I'm only going to affect the poor. I'm only going to go in the bad neighborhoods. No. Trauma affects everybody. Abuse affects everybody. And when it goes untreated because you're full of shame and you don't think that someone's going to believe you or someone's going to understand what you've been through, yeah, that's a problem. And we're going to have to work harder in making sure that we get the help we need. And so please like, share, and subscribe. And I love me some y'all. This was a lot for me to do. I put trigger warning on there because I was praying, please just get through this. Because when you've been through trauma, this is whoa. And, even if you have some form of compassion for others, which we're losing, but some still have compassion for others. We just want to be reminded, and we have to pray, family. Those who are believers, I encourage you to pray, pray, and pray. So, see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good one.